Good afternoon to you all and happy Friday to you. How are you doing? Greetings from Dubai. Welcome to you all. How are we doing today? A few people just coming in. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. Tell me where in the world you are. Welcome to my weekly live at 12 noon UK every Friday, where we talk about how you can simplify, grow and enjoy your business. Whether you are just starting out or several years in, whether you want to build a nice lifestyle business or chase world domination, I am here to support your journey. So welcome to you. Hello. Greetings from Dubai. Where in the world are you? Do let me know. Give me a bit of a wave. Welcome to my weekly live at 12 noon UK time every Friday, where we are talking about how you can simplify, grow and enjoy your business. Whether you are just starting out or several years in, whether you want to build yourself a nice lifestyle business or you're chasing world domination, I am here to support your journey. So, hello, thank you for joining. Give me a wave, give me a thumbs up so that I can see you and say hello to you. Greetings to you. Let me know how is your family, how's your business, how's your team. Do give me a wave. Hello, happy Friday. Thank you for joining. I can see a few people coming in now. Hello, Sally. Hello, Francesca. Did I also see Sam there? MJ? Hello, happy Friday. Thank you for joining. How are things where you are? Lockdowns easing, holiday plans brewing maybe? What are your plans? Do let me know. I understand it's been a bit cold and miserable in the UK, so if you're watching from the UK, I'm sending you lots and lots of lovely sunshine your way. 3/4 of the way through May. Can you believe how this year is racing by? How is this year going for you so far? Let me know what you've been working on this week. Has it been a good one? Hi Henrik. Oh, hi MJ saying hello. Really good here, all good here. I've been making some really good progress on my book and some more interviews, some really great conversations that are giving me lots of really good material. Lots of people who are at various stages of that transition from the corporate world that many of us have made from employed to self-employed. So thank you to all of you that have been referring, that continue to refer friends and colleagues to me. I really do appreciate it. So whether people are looking for one-to-one coaching or work with their teams, or indeed some people have referred people to be interviewed for my book. So thank you so much. I really am grateful. Lots of new joiners as well to this community. We passed 850 members this week. Welcome to each and every one of you. I'm really passionate about serving you and giving you lots of great value, not just in these weekly lives, but also in my Ask Me Anything slots, which are 3 p.m. UK time every Monday. I want you to know that you are not alone. So please feel free to post your questions and your challenges into this group. We will my team review all the posts to stop the few people that simply want to share a link from their page or blatantly trying to sell. We're not doing that here. I mean, share, by all means share, but tell us what's going on. Tell us what the story is, what the challenges you're facing, what lesson are you learning, or what questions do you have. So let me know how you are. How are you doing this week? I hope that you and your business are continuing to thrive. Do you know what? If you're not, that's okay as well. Please let me know what support you need. You are not alone in this journey. I can see that several of you have booked in a clarity call for next week, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you. If you would like to get past your blockers, take that next step in your business, in your journey, book in a call with me and let's give you a good dose of clarity. I free up a few slots each week that I make available for these calls, so do grab yours now. You'll find the link in the pinned post at the top of this group. So last week we were talking about how to enjoy your business, and we talked about what to do if you feel like you're losing your mojo. what to do if you feel like you're kind of falling out of love with your business. I talk a bit about this in my TEDx talk, which if you haven't seen, you can also find a link to in that pinned post at the top of the group. I also last week shared my 7 top tips for how to be a happy business owner. So if you didn't get a chance to join me live last week, you can find the recording in this group. All of these lives are organised into guides. There are 4 of them in this group. There's a welcome guide with some information about me and this group. And then there are guides filled with resources and all of the lives dating back to when we started this community almost 2 years ago now, so June 2019. If you are feeling overwhelmed or stretched too thin, if you're not quite sure what to focus on or how to get organised, then head over to the Simplify Your Business guide, which has loads of hints and tips on how to make life easier for yourself, how to organise your time, and also how to focus on what's important. Then there's the Grow Your Business guide, which is all about client acquisition, scaling and managing people. So if that's the challenge that you are tackling right now, then that's the place that you can find some support. And finally, there's Enjoy Your Business, which focuses on you and your role and how to ensure that the business you're building continues to delight and inspire you. What we really don't want is you falling out of love with your business. So everything I do falls into one or more of those 3 guides: Simplify, Grow or Enjoy, so that you can easily find the support you need. Of course, I want all 3 of those for you, but you will know which one is going to be most relevant for you right now. So do check out those guides. As you know, I tend to take my cues from you in terms of what would be helpful for me to cover during these weekly live sessions every Friday. Sometimes maybe I will read something or reflect on a past experience and take those learnings from that to share with you. Often I maybe share things from my book or what I'm working with my clients on, but most often these lives come from conversations, questions and requests that I get from this community. So do continue to let me know, where are you stuck, what questions do you have, and what challenges are you facing. So today's live has been inspired by actually several different coaching conversations that I've had in the last few weeks. Today's live is a very important subject. It's all about asking for what you need. So, question for you: how often do you really ask for what you need? Clearly and directly, without guilt, without any apology, just asking for what you need. We often find ways to kind of sidestep, kind of hint. We also find ways to avoid being that clear, or maybe distract ourselves or the other person from simply asking for what we need. We often make it about the other person rather than about ourselves, or we don't really bother to get clear about what it is that we actually want, because, you know, we've decided that it already can't happen. So I see this in my coaching a lot, and people have already made up their minds that something can't happen, that it's impractical or selfish, and so they don't really spend any time getting really clear about what they want. So how do we get what we want in business, and how do we get our needs met? That is what we are talking about today. And as always, today's live is designed very much to give you some things to think about, but also some actions, some concrete actions that you can take right away today. I'm going to give you the nuts and bolts of asking for what you want. We're going to also talk a little bit about why it is so hard, and also where people make mistakes. I'm going to share some of those sort of common mistakes with you. I'm also going to share with you my 5 top tips for getting what you want in business. So hopefully that sounds good. Let's get into it. This week I had a coaching session with a client who wants to take some time off with his family this summer. He feels quite conflicted about kind of imposing on his colleagues, and he also feels quite guilty about prioritising his family over his team, or that's how he sees it. During our coaching conversation, he realised, it became clear to him, that he was actually making quite a lot of assumptions about how other people may or may not respond to his actions. we discussed what might happen if he simply stated what he wants to happen and ask for feedback. What was really interesting about that conversation from my perspective was that he'd not really allowed himself to get clear about what he actually wanted, because he'd already decided, as I said, that it was that it would be selfish or that it would be impractical and it wouldn't really work. So he hadn't really focused on what is it that I actually want, like specifically. And once we got clear about what he wanted, like actually specifically what he wanted, then the path forward, which was simply to state what he wanted, get inputs, make a plan, that then came into focus, that became clear to him. But it was only when he got really clear about what he wanted. It was a really important reminder to me of the importance of getting really clear about what we want before jumping into the practicalities of how to make it happen. But getting clear about what we want is much easier said than done. If you don't know what you want, then you are absolutely not alone. There are millions and millions of our fellow human beings living their lives day to day with no clear idea of what they really want. But that is a topic for another day. Today, we are talking about asking for what we want. So even when we're clear about what it is that we want, asking for it is simply not straightforward. We often think that we are clearly asking for what we want. We tell ourselves it's obvious, it's implied. The other person clearly knows what I mean. All to avoid actually verbalizing our needs clearly and simply. Instead, what we do is we drop hints, maybe we get a bit defensive, we make it about the other person and we make demands. So here's some examples of how it often plays out. So you can have the kind of passive way of doing this. Wouldn't it be great if somebody other than me did X, Y, Z? I was wondering maybe if you wouldn't mind doing. Or we can get the kind of more aggressive version of this. Just make the coffee, will you? I just can't believe that you won't just do X, Y, Z. Now, you could argue that in these examples that I've just given you, it's clear what I want, right? So what's the problem? Why are we talking about this today? The problem is that in each of these examples, whether the sort of the passive ones or the aggressive ones that I just shared with you, we're making it about the other person rather than clearly stating what we want, rather than owning our own needs. And the reason that this really matters is that the way we ask or don't really ask for what we want has a specifically direct impact. There's a direct link and it has a direct impact on the way that our requests are received by whoever we are communicating with. When people receive an open, honest, and let's face it, quite vulnerable request, they are much more likely to respond in a positive way than they would in the examples that I just gave you, which tend to provoke more negative response, often kind of defensive response. The way that you ask will influence whether or not you get what you want. Simple as that. But asking for what we want with no defense, with no kind of justification or no defense, it's actually really hard. Because it opens us up to rejection, it makes us vulnerable. So here's what needs to happen. You must first identify your need, then you need to identify the assistance that you're asking for to help you meet that need, and finally you need to ask for that help. So let's take that one at a time. Step 1, identify the need. In order to be able to really ask for something that's going to fulfill what we need, we have to get clear about what that actually is. And this is not straightforward. Let's say, for example, that you're new to management and you're frustrated with a team member who keeps asking questions. You feel maybe that they're undermining your authority and making your job more difficult. If I ask you in that scenario what you need, you might be tempted to tell me that you just want them to shut up and let you do your job. But if you look beyond that frustration that you're expressing and dig a little bit deeper, you'll come to realise that actually, in this example, what you need is to be supported as a new manager. You need your team members to give you feedback on what is going well and what needs improving. So we often fall at that first hurdle. Instead of recognising our own needs, we project onto another person and focus on what we want them to be doing. Let me give you an example from domestic life. Some people like things very tidy and organised, and others are much more comfortable with, let's face it, a bit more of a messy environment. And I don't need to tell you watching this that a lot of arguments can and do ensue from this simple difference between how different people like to live, right? But if you need things to be tidy, then that is your need. Don't put it on the other person. They don't need it to be tidy, you do. It's your need, not theirs. So, if you want your environment to be tidy, then you have two choices. Either you make it tidy, or you ask the other person to help you. Which leads us to step 2. So step 2 then is identifying what assistance you actually need. So once you've figured out what you need, then you can make a request of somebody else to help you meet that need. Do you need acknowledgement, or do you need support? Do you need them to take an action, or are you looking at behaviour? What is it that you want from that other person? So maybe if you want an acknowledgement from the other person of all the work that you're doing, that's very different than if you want them to help you. So these are two very different needs, as I say, and therefore they lead to two very different requests, which is why it's absolutely essential that you get clear about your exact need before you ask for help. Without taking step 1, our requests can come out more as demands or accusations. Why won't you just tidy up? Why are you so messy? Nag, 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 nag. Much better to take ownership of your own need for things to be tidy. Why is this important to you? It really stresses me out when things are all over the place. It makes me feel anxious. I've stated my need. Here comes the magic bit. Would you be willing to help me tidy things up so that I can relax? Ask rather than tell. To give a working example, I was worried when I didn't hear from you. Is everything okay? Could we spend some time together today aligning on what needs to be done? This is, of course, separate from managing someone, of course. Then you have told somebody what you want them to do. You have set clear expectations, haven't you? Yes. But it is still worth avoiding all that passive-aggressive BS that so many managers employ and making too many assumptions. In our last meeting, you agreed to do XYZ by this Friday. Is that your understanding? Where are you with that? So much better, right? The more specific you can be with your request, the better. So rather than generalising, would you be willing to help me keep things tidy? Even better to ask, would you be willing to tidy up at the end of the day so that when we get to the morning, everything is organised? Would you be willing to spend some time every Sunday putting everything away so that we can start the week with a clear head? Nice and specific. And that is step 3. It's a magic phrase. Would you be willing? Would you be willing? Kind of sounds a bit weird when you first start saying, but it's a magic phrase. It's really got to be a question rather than a demand. When we use language that invites people to do things, would you be willing? It helps them agree. When we use language that even hints at a demand, it immediately puts people on the back foot. It puts them on the defensive. Imagine maybe that you're feeling disconnected from your business partner. You want to know that things are okay between you. You want to kind of feel that connection. You attempt to fill your need without being direct. So you send them messages like, when can we meet? How are things going? Can you just talk to me, please? Yeah, we kind of escalate because we're not getting our needs met, right? When can we meet? What's the need there? How are things going? Again, what is your need? And then because we're not getting our needs met, then we go, can you just talk to me, please? Why don't you talk to me? Why aren't you replying? Yeah, and then we get into all of this passive aggressive stuff. Imagine in that scenario with your business partner, if instead you said something like, would you be willing to spend a few minutes before the meeting tomorrow telling me what you're working on and hearing the same from me? I'm feeling a bit disconnected from you at the moment and I want to make sure that we're on the same page. Clearly stating your needs. So, sounds really easy, right? So why is this so hard? Because it makes us feel exposed, it makes us feel vulnerable. Because when we ask a question, we leave the other person free to say no, in effect to reject us. We create a space between the question and the answer, which can be really uncomfortable. And so, in order to avoid that discomfort, we avoid being clear and we stay silent, or we ask without really asking. And then we feel aggrieved, we feel taken advantage of, we feel unseen, unheard, and unappreciated. If you think about it, we really can't blame anyone else but ourselves if people don't show up, don't realise what's going on, or don't support, or even when people respond to us in kind of defensive or demanding ways. But we do blame others all the time, and we hang on to this belief that our needs can never and will never be met. We sort of try and get them met without ever really believing that they will truly be met. And so we feel hurt, we feel shame, we feel disappointment, and we feel unworthy. All that can change if you simply ask for what you really need, calmly, clearly, and bravely. There is, of course, always the chance that the other person will say no or simply choose not to answer you. And yes, that hurts when that happens, but it is so much better than not asking in the first place. If we don't ask, then we are guaranteed not to get our needs met, versus when we do ask, there is a chance that the other person might say no. The reward is way greater than the risk. Okay, so here are my top 5 tips for asking for what you want in business. Number 1, build relationships first. So during my sales training, which was many moons ago, I was taught about the emotional bank account. It's a concept that served me really well actually through my career as well as in my personal life over the years. The idea is that attached to every relationship that you have with another person, there's a kind of bank account. When you give something to the other person, you're kind of putting a credit in the bank. And when you ask for something, you're making a withdrawal. Now, that might sound really cold and transactional, but personally, I just find it a really useful way of thinking about relationships of all kinds. A friend of mine told me, again, many years ago, that his philosophy on relationships was very simple. Over any given period of time that you decide to choose, does the relationship give you more than it takes? I just think that's amazing. That's just an amazing way to think about any kind of relationship. Over a period of time, and you choose over what period of time you want to look at it, is this relationship giving you more than it's taking from you? So, before you ask for something, build the relationship by paying into the emotional bank account first. Tip number 2, what's in it for them? Make sure that you're really clear about what each side is going to gain before you ask. I see this a lot in my coaching. We get so focused on what we want that we fail to even attempt to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. And this is a really big mistake in business particularly. You won't sign new customers, you won't form new partnerships or hire good people into your team without understanding what's in it for them. So once you've figured out what's in it for them, then we come on to tip 3, which is all about an irresistible offer. So once we have figured that out, then we can focus on making our ask into something that they will find irresistible. What could you tempt them with to say yes? What would make your ask even more appealing to them? This will require you to understand them. So make sure that you are prepared before asking for what you want. So in a sales situation, you have to understand your client before you can even come close to asking for business. Tip number 4, don't get too attached to the outcomes. You know, it's important to learn how to ask for things in business without just putting too much weight on the outcome. The classic example of this is in sales, right? You've got to keep your focus on serving your potential client and not on you closing the deal. You should only ask for the business when you really believe it's right for the other person. So don't hang too much on it. The other person will be able to feel your desperation. Keep it light and stay open and flexible to a yes or no response. Take the pressure off yourself and on the other person. And don't forget, depending on what your business is and what you're selling, it might not be a no, it just might be a not now. I find that quite a lot. You know, people have to be in the right moment to really engage with coaching. And so sometimes I'll have a conversation with somebody, find out a lot about them. You know, they ask their questions, they ask me how much it costs to work with me. You know, we kind of get all of that clear. And then they say, thank you, now I know, when I'm ready, then I will come back to you. And do you know what? That is totally fine with me. I know that some people would probably say, no, you have to close them. Do you know what? That's really not my style. And I believe that you know when you want to make a change, right? You know when you need some help. And I need the kind of coach that I am. I need for you to take that step. I need for you to ask for it. I need for you to commit to it. I don't want you becoming a client of mine because I've persuaded you. That is not what we're doing here. So take the pressure off yourself and the other person. Just don't be desperate. It's not a good look. It really isn't. Okay, my tip 5, follow up. Do you know what? It's really very normal to think that everything is about us, right? Once you've sent an important message or an email and you're kind of waiting for the response, it's really easy to kind of get a bit fixated. When will it come and what will it say? But remember that people are busy, life happens, not everything revolves around you and your message. So follow up politely and lightly. Don't put the pressure on, just let it happen. Okay. So they are my thoughts on how to ask for what you want. Let me know, what do you think about them? What do you find hard in asking for what you want? Do let me know your questions or your comments. Which of my 5 tips resonate the most with you? What is your next step in life, in business? What do you need to make you feel more confident? Book in a clarity call with me and let's get you moving past whatever is blocking your progress and on to the next challenge, because there's always a next challenge. Before I close up for today, I want to give you some next steps. I promised you some concrete things that I suggest you do as a result of today's live. Okay, number 1. Take some time to think about a situation where you're not feeling heard, or maybe you're not feeling appreciated, or you're not getting what you want or need. Next, make sure that you dig underneath a bit, right? To get really clear about what your real needs are. And thirdly, you know what's coming. Take some action. Be brave. Be clear and direct and ask. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it opens you up to being hurt. But trust me when I say that the rewards will far outweigh the discomfort. Plus, the more practice you get, the better you will get at asking for your needs to be met. Please do let me know how you get on with this. I'll be really interested to hear your feedback. Do also let me know if you need any support or you want to talk it through with me. I'm going to close up today's live with 2 quotes about knowing what you want and getting what you need. My first quote is from the American Supreme Court Justice, Oliver Wendell Holmes. If you don't know what you want, you will probably never get it. Isn't that the truth? And secondly, from, bear with me on the pronunciation, Nisargadatta Maharaj, who was an Indian guru of non-dualism, none less. You will receive everything you need when you stop asking for what you do not need. And so what do you really need? Decide what's really important to you and to your business and stick to it consistently. Building a business is tough. It can be a really long, hard road. Make sure that you're building something that's really meaningful to you, that makes you want to get out of bed in the morning, that will sustain you through the tough times, and there will be tough times. Be intentional. Say no to things that don't serve you and the goal that you want to achieve. And as I pass back over to you, that is really what I want you to take from today. What is the outcome that you seek? What is the result? What is the goal? Put your energy into that, into getting really clear about that. But please, please, please allow yourself to do things your way. Yes, of course, learn from me, learn from others, but you need to synthesize all of that learning, take it inside of you, and then what comes out must be congruent with you, with your values. It must work for you. If you want to build something, a huge, multinational world domination, then go for it. Fantastic. But you know what? If you just want to do your thing, that is absolutely okay as well. Focus on listening to yourself and ask yourself, what do you need so that you can spend more time in your flow? And don't forget that the opposite of flow is friction. And so if things aren't really working, then take a bit of a step back. Focus on getting some clarity, get some objective inputs, hire the service of a business coach, take some time to look at what you're really doing. And also, very importantly, where would an easier path start from and lead to? Ask yourself, what would a business that really works for me look like? Let me know your thoughts and questions on this or any other topic relating to how to simplify, grow, and enjoy your business. What area of business would you like me to speak about next? Also, who do you know that could benefit from joining this community or having a conversation with me? Do keep those referrals coming. I really do appreciate them. If you haven't already claimed your free copy of my first book, The Real Entrepreneur, then you can check out therealentrepreneurbook.com. If you prefer an Audible or a Kindle version, you can find those on Amazon. Today is actually the 1 year anniversary of me recording the Audible version of my book. Do check out the energy section of my book for more on asking for what you need. Get those foundations right and you can build from there. I really hope that you have a lovely weekend, whatever you're doing and whoever you're doing it with. I really wish you a happy and a peaceful time. And as always, if you want to talk, then you know where I am. Please remember to be where you are in the journey. You don't need to know it all, and you definitely don't have to do it all. Please take care, stay safe, and do keep in touch. Bye for now. Have a lovely weekend.